Alright, so I'm actually on a plane right now because my flight on Sunday, which will be yesterday when you listen to this, was delayed like 8 hours, and I thought I'd get to my location and have time to record an intro in a nice room, but I didn't. Now it's the evening, I'm on the plane, still haven't taken off. It's frustrating, but I just finished editing this amazing podcast with Carlini, who's like an NFT OG, Top Shot OG, now building his own project in Penelope's Country Club. It's honestly just kind of a general discussion between old friends where he tells us about getting into NFTs, what he's building at Penelope's, and he also kind of compares like what the early days of NFTs were to the early days of gaming. Like, kind of compares. He makes some good points, like how early in the days of Cryptokitties, it was kind of like early in the days of RuneScape, where like that was the only game in town, but now it's expanded so much. Also, during the interview, we end up looking at the Trump NFTs, like kind of live, and kind of a fun discussion about that. Honestly, the pod is kind of like a chat between old friends, even though we've only actually chatted once in the past. And I think Carlini is a really great person to lean on, especially right now in the bear market. He's somebody who's been there. He's somebody who literally doesn't even pay himself from his own project because he's just happy to be building, and he doesn't really need the money. So we touch on all topics: profile pics, building in the space. I even challenge him at one point, ask him if he kind of feels a sense of ownership over the space, and kind of have a fun conversation. So listen to my chat with Carlini, and I'm sorry for the sound audio. It won't be like this on the next pod. What's up, everyone? It's LG Doucette, and you're listening to The First Mint, a podcast about Web3, business, and sports. Before we get to the show, a word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Evaluate.xyz, a safe and easy way to meet other NFT collectors, negotiate deals, and swap your moments live. Looking to expand your Top Shot, All Day, and Strike collection without spending your Dapper balance? With Evaluate, you can pair up with trading partners in seconds and swap your existing moments for new ones in secure trading lobbies. The fastest and easiest way to trade NFTs. Visit Evaluate.xyz today to start swapping moments with other collectors. Nothing on today's show should be considered financial or trading advice of any kind. Please do your own thorough research and make your own trading decisions. This is not advice. Ladies and gentlemen of the First Mint, we have a very special guest for you today. I think the actual first guest we ever had on the show, and by the show, I mean that the first time Carlini and I spoke was live in voice chat in the NBA Top Shot Discord on like January 28th, 2021, in a session that had 1,000 people attend and was my first ever attempt at a live show. And we crashed the Top Shot Discord because Discord was not optimized for that. And Carlini, that is the last time you and I spoke live on in an actual voice chat.
Yeah, hi. That was a wild time. I remember there were a lot of technical issues because Discord was not happy with what we were doing.
I can't believe Jacob and Usman let me do that. Where I was like, how about we do a live session?
There were certain groups of people that couldn't hear one person. It was so, because normally when someone's muted, like no one can hear them. But like 300 people could hear one guest, 300 people could hear another, and 300 people could hear the third. It was pretty crazy.
Yes. Dude, that's right. And I think I couldn't hear you, or it was like I could only catch bits of what you were saying. So the other guests, which I think were like MBL, had to tell me what you were saying.
Yeah. So did we even talk?
Carlini, that's almost 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Is that like, how's the passage of time been for you since that time? Because that to me is like, it's like recent, but now it's also like, damn, like that's 2 years is a long time. Like a lot can happen in 2 years, and a lot has happened.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much my last 5 years, to be honest. Just since NFTs, it's a very weird time of taking ages and being really quick at the same time, just because, 2 years or 5 years in the grand scheme of your life isn't a huge amount. But then when you think how much has gone on in the space and how much time it's consumed, because days are no longer, 10 hours of sleep and 14 hours of being awake. It's
10 hours of sleep. Who sleeps 10 hours?
There are some. If the average is 8 people, some people have to sleep more than 8, right?
When's the last time you slept 10 hours straight?
Well, my kid's nearly 5, so...
Wait, we had 5 years. Did you say 5 years you've been in the space, or since you had a kid, or both?
Both. It depends, I guess, on how you define having a kid over if I joined Parenthood or NFTs first.
Which one did you join first? Did you join NFTs or
I mean,
Parenthood first?
it's up to interpretation because I found Cryptokitties. One night my wife was pregnant with my first son, and we had to go to the hospital and stay the night. And I had this sort of terrible hospital chair and one of those rolly over hospital tables, but I was using it as a desk with my laptop. I couldn't sleep, and I discovered Cryptokitties and NFTs at that time.
Wait, how did you first find NFTs at that time?
From Reddit, if I had to guess. I can't remember exactly, but I was already into Ethereum, and I was having fun with all the silly coins that were about in at the end of 2017 because Ethereum was starting to hot up. This was probably the first time where I was in refresh prices mode, just reading everything crypto. That night I watched a Twitch streamer who was basically just yelling the Cryptokitties floor price.
I love this. I want to find this stream of the guy just yelling Cryptokitties floor prices.
We need to find that.
Who was that? Alan? Who was doing that? I need to know who that was.
No, Alan wasn't. Alan wasn't on the team. Alan was just a regular DJ, right, like the rest of everyone else at that point. But when you start with Cryptokitties, it makes NFTs more exciting, I think, because I could instantly do something. So I bought cats so that I could then breed them, and get involved and sort of look at the market straight away. Whereas if you join now, sure, there are projects like that. So I've been told to look at Wolf Game the last few days, and that's deep, and you can really dig in and sort of try and figure out a strategy. But with Cryptokitties and NFTs, it was the only one. I know others existed, I know punks existed, but you couldn't do anything, and there wasn't really a community there at that point. It'd be when you look back at the Discord, it's a couple of people chatting. Cryptokitties was absolutely wild. So it was a bit like, I think, the old days of gaming. Everyone would be playing the same game because there wasn't really much choice. Now when you go to Twitch, there's loads of different video games, whereas back in the day everyone seems to have played RuneScape in the NFT space. You had a choice really between RuneScape and WoW at the very start. There wasn't really too many things to take your attention away, and that was Cryptokitties. It was everyone was in there, and you were all sort of playing the same game. It was obviously way smaller as well, but yeah, very concentrated. And
was your name Carlini then?
Yes, it hasn't changed.
Is Carlini? I don't want to know who you are. I don't want to dox you, but is Carlini, like, is that a made up name?
My Xbox Live name. Now I need to remind everyone, like I was 10 or something, but it's XX Carlini8.
But like, because you're straight edge, is that why? Why did you put the XX?
That was just what everyone did. Everyone was. It was just a way to, or some people would put dash equals sign, then their name equals sign dash. Okay. It just made your name look cool, right. I guess. The first and last X was small, and the next one was inside X's were capitals. Yeah. I was a kid. I don't know.
I could swear maybe this was only like because I was in Toronto at the time when there was like the emo thing was happening like 20 years ago or whatever. Like if you put X's on either end of your name, it's because you were signaling that you were straight edge, as in like you didn't drink or smoke. You're like a straight emo shooter person. So maybe that's what the trend was, but maybe you just didn't know.
Could have been. But if straight edge people played Halo 1 in 2001 or something,
exactly.
Then yes, they got
when
me.
Did you drop the X's then?
I don't know that I did on Xbox Live. They might still be there.
That's so good. Thank you for sharing. And now we know the mystery. I've actually wondered that too, right? Because I think it's funny, like what people choose as their screen names. Because I don't know if you remember way back before I was LG Doucette, I was Zion Williamson in the Top Shot Discord. And that's mainly because I was like, I'm going to be anonymous, and then at one point where I was like, maybe I'll try making content. I was like, I'll use maybe a bit more of a kind of professional or something that's closer to my actual name. So that's where I landed there. So I always want to know people's backstories. Where did you get the 8?
I remember mainly the mustache.
That's my actual mustache.
I know.
I don't have it right now, but that's from a few years ago.
There were a lot of talks in the Top Shot Discord about because didn't you have it while you were Zion?
Yes. I think so. Yeah, I did. And I still have it now in Discord. And I should make it my Twitter profile, actually, because I've never had a PFP. I've considered launching like a free mustache collection of just the photo of my mustache. It's just so other people can have it. Just so I can have the hexagon, or whatever it is on Twitter, the verified PFP.
I'm against people changing pictures because I'm visual, I guess. I get used to people's PFP, and if they change it, I'm like, whoa, who's this? What's going on?
Here's a question for you, actually, on that note, because you've been around for longer than I have. When PFPs came along, is that something that surprised you? Like, did you because that to me, like when Bored Apes came along, I was like, oh, they're just trying to do what people do with punks or with Avastars, but that's not really like a thing. But now it is like the thing to do. How was that for you, for somebody who'd already been in the space for 3+ years at that point?
We kind of created a hive mind, I guess. People, if you talk to people daily for 3 years, it must have been before anything really blew up, you all sort of argue back and forth and end up with the same kind of views, I guess. We thought that PFPs would be a thing, but the level that they got to is insane. Like how important it was to be your PFP, I don't think we imagined. But you can tell from, say, Avastars, Jim being one of those voices in this conglomerate of people, and him launching that project, you can see that we did kind of think it would be important, but very much not to. It seems to be the only thing that matters at certain times in the market.
How does that make you feel as somebody who collected NFTs for years and on various different bases? Most of the adoption, like 99% of the people that are here now, came in through wanting to have a PFP of some kind.
The biggest things to bring people in, Top Shot was one of the biggest, for sure. Axie Infinity brought in a lot of people, and I don't think people would class those. I know you can use them as PFPs, but I don't think people would class them as PFPs.
People used to have them.
Cryptokitties was like the
Carlini. I remember.
I mean, they used them, but would you call a mustache a PFP?
No, they weren't meant to be PFPs. But I'm thinking even some of the bigger names, like someone like O'Shiny, used to be Axie King.
No, yeah,
and people would set whatever their whatever one of the Genesis axes was as their PFP. So that was kind of dominant for a little bit.
But it was something else, right?
Yeah.
That was very much a secondary thing. But how does it make me feel? It kind of makes me feel that we're still early in a tech sense. It's hard to argue we're early in a price sense, which is what normally people care about when they say, oh, we're still so early. But really, when you've been sort of dreaming of where NFTs can go for 5 years at this point, and you're dreaming up all of these ideas, big time, like buying and selling houses on chain, just changing the whole housing system so all the searches have to be upfront. It's on the NFT, and then houses are swapped quickly, and then suddenly it's like, oh, it's your PFP that has actually decided all of NFTs. It just makes me think we've still got a lot of scope. Obviously, PFPs are always going to be important at this point, but that doesn't mean expensive or worthy. Being a PFP doesn't instantly make it matter, but it does just make me think we misunderstood how important it was going to be.
Is there anything else that surprised you the same way, or more or less surprised you in the last, let's say, 2 years, like in this most recent wave of adoption bull run?
Oh, lots of things. How stupid normal finance is, for example. How much of a Ponzi all of the big guys were loaning to each other and ending up putting it in Luna. But from a more NFT perspective, I guess how much narratives would matter, because when you think about it, there was certain times where things like owning your own IP rights were huge drivers in price, But when you think back, only a handful of people actually used their IP. And probably the best example would be Jenkins the valet using their ape to then sell a whole new collection. Once a narrative sets in, people trade on the narrative rather than thinking, right, how many people are actually doing this or using this? How much will it actually matter? And I guess how much people care about their own personal brand. It really wasn't a thing for so long in the space. You know, everyone says they're building, but what a lot of people are building is their own personal brand that really no one else should care about. They're like, oh, I'm building every day. It's the weekend and I'm building. Yes, but what you're actually doing is trying to get more followers so that you can do X, Y, Z in the future. The people you're tweeting at shouldn't care that you're building because they can in no way benefit.
I'm just going to make up a hypothetical tweet right now that I think sums up what you're saying. That's like, it'll be like a Sunday or a Saturday morning. GM to those who are still here building, and it'll be like a salute emoji. Is that kind of what you mean?
Those people are building, right? But they're building themselves. But the perception is that, I guess one way to think about it is we're all in a shared office where we all work for different companies. It's one of those sort of, you know, the company isn't big enough to have its own office, so you just rent a desk next to other people. We're all in the same office working, but we're working on ourselves in that instance. Mm-hmm. But there's some sort of camaraderie about how everyone's working together, but they're not. It's like they think we're creating the NFT space ourselves, when in reality, you know, next year someone's going to come up with the next Top Shot catalyst, and we'll just be here to benefit. I guess my view.
Do you feel, Carlini? I don't mean this in a facetious way, but do you feel like a certain sense of ownership over the space, having been here so early and perhaps understanding it on a deeper level than others?
Almost the opposite, because what I see with NFTs is an online piece of paper. I don't want there to just be NFTs to exist that I am happy with. So everyone will have their own level of decentralization that they're happy with. You know, there would be some people who'd be fine with a Google Docs that everyone can edit, which they are actually doing or they were doing with TikTok with doubloons or something like that. By they, I mean the young, cool kids. You'd watch videos that would give you doubloons, and then you'd just edit a spreadsheet. And then all the way over on the other end, there'll be people who says Ethereum isn't decentralized enough. So everyone's on this sort of spectrum of decentralization. NFTs aren't by default decentralized. In no way is of that word is decentralized. And that's just one of many aspects. So I think there are going to be lots and lots of NFTs that I hate, but I feel like that's fine because I'm not. I don't have to buy NFTs I hate, and I see some people get really worked up about. You know, Donald Trump has just launched a collection. Do what you love. Do what you want, Donald Trump. I can't stop you doing anything. NFTs are just, if they're not there now, it's going to be so vast that trying to steer the whole space in any direction is, even the whole of NFT Twitter couldn't do that. Right. We could all band together, and there is still going to be, you know, this whole spectrum that we hate. So I just kind of accepted early on that there's going to be loads of stuff that I don't like, but what I can control is what I look at, what I spend my time at, what I talk about, what I tweet about. Mm-hmm. I can focus on what I think matters in the space rather than trying to push the space in certain directions.
Our space is so self-reflective and insular. It's almost like half of the shit posts that we see that are successful are just commenting on what other people are buying. That's funny, right? Because it's almost like people are in astonishment of how the market that they participate in behaves. I always liken that almost to being like in traffic and mad that there's traffic, right? Where it's like, listen, you might be mad about people buying this collection or that collection and you don't understand it, but it's like you're also on the road right now. Like you're also in this very specific sector of risky assets. And I don't know if really you should be picking apart the people driving right beside you, whereas really you should be thinking about the larger thing that you're in. You know, I think that's a wise way to look at it on your end, to not get overly upset by the actions of others and the way that, people think it should be. But on that, Carlini, I want to ask you then, if you don't think that it's all the degens on Twitter that steer the space, what does steer the space? Like, what are the catalysts in the space? What are the big levers for growth, deflation, or for whatever kind of moves everything here?
For narratives, I think right now you just need an edge. Like we saw art gobblers a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months ago, completely mint out and go wild because they had a legitimate name and the artist attached to them, and people didn't even look at the mechanics. They're just like, yep, let's go. We've had cock punch. They're like, right. He said he's not going to do this forever. He's probably going to quit in a week, a month, or a year. When he finds it boring, he's out.
People didn't like that.
Let's yeet it.
People didn't like that when they read that fine print where he's like, if at any point I don't want to do this anymore, I won't.
He said, buy it for the art, which he said before the art was revealed. Because it was revealed later. You couldn't see it. That just makes no sense. I feel like you're trying to cover yourself with something that's impossible.
What did you think of the art?
I didn't really care. I didn't buy in, so I saw it and I was like, oh, does that go in something? Like, was there a universe he'd built where they went and it just made sense? But I mean, I could see why people weren't fans without any teasers, I guess. And obviously the current one is Trump. All you have to do there is be a controversial figure for a couple of decades and you can sell out a project.
Is that bottom or is that the start of the next run?
I don't think that's too bad, really, because he sold his likeness. Mm-hmm. That's, if you think about it, that's an asset he has. I guess we're not discussing if it's okay to pay someone off, because
no, just ignore that part. That's
don't care.
unproven rumor. I just mean the part where, like, you watched the video, right, that he made. Did you watch it?
The one where he just talks at the camera.
Yeah, about the NFTs.
Yeah.
You watched it. Like,
I mean, it's a script.
Oh, of course, it's a script.
yeah. He's not like he's not loving the space, but
sorry to burst your bubble. That's a scripted speech. That's the first time in over a year that Jimmy Kimmel and all these late night talk shows talked about NFTs. They haven't talked about NFTs since Jimmy Fallon got one, or since they were hot like a year ago. And it's because Trump is releasing them, which I think a lot of people out there are thinking like, well, that just kind of pushes NFTs further down the hole that we're kind of in right now. So how does that's what I'm asking. It's kind of like, how do you feel about that? Do you think that that's true?
Some people are going to like NFTs because of this drop. You know, depending on political leanings, people might not want these people in the space, but they are going to come into the space because of it. You had to have a crypto wallet to get these Trump NFTs. So it's just a fact that numbers have gone up because of it. And if people already hate NFTs and they hate them more, I don't care. We're going to trick everyone in a different way. It's not going to be... And we trick loads in with collectible avatars on Reddit, or whatever they called them exactly. They're still NFTs. It doesn't matter that they don't... You know, you go on Reddit and you see loads of posts where they think they're not NFTs. And that really doesn't matter, because at the core of everything doesn't need to be understanding. I have no idea how I am talking to you right now, but I know that I can. These people have no idea how they own their Donald Trump NFTs, but they know that they do own them, and they get whatever rewards they win in the raffle. And it's almost good if people don't know that it's crypto underneath. They're just using them and utilizing them, because as soon as you attach crypto, there's a large portion of populations of countries that just think, oh, that's weird, that's not for me. Whereas NFT is sort of Trojan horsed crypto to people for a year and a half. And now we're just going to have to Trojan horse them another way, because NFTs are useful and good and fun. We just need to get rid of the biases that people have built up from, you know, as news reports of monkey sells for $1 million, monkey stolen. You know, just get rid of these biases and trick them in another way. I mean, that's all it's going to be, really.
God. Oh man, Carlini, I'm sorry. While you were talking, I went and looked, because I hadn't really checked into any prices or anything today. it's 0.4. What the fuck, man? Like, that's literally, like, these cost $100. And if you had one right now, it would be worth, like, literally, what's the floor? 0.4, so that's $470. Almost 5x, a 4.5x. Come on.
And it was only 45 of them, I think, to have a meal with Donald Trump.
Okay, I got to see which one sold for the most. So, okay, the highest selling one. While we're on this topic, have you looked at the highest selling?
I have not. No.
Okay,
is it a one of one?
It's a one of one. There's a few one of ones. There's one where he's in a Superman suit, standing on the top of the earth, but it's golden. It's a golden trait,
obviously,
of some kind. And then he's got another one where he's in a boxing ring and he's holding boxing gloves that say 45, and that's also a golden. Both of those sold for about 13 ETH. The highest selling one is him at Mount Rushmore. Theodore Roosevelt no longer exists on Mount Rushmore, and it's been replaced by Trump, and he's also standing in front of it. And that's the highest selling one so far, and it sold for 15 ETH yesterday.
Bargain.
Holy shit, that's so crazy. We got to talk about other things, because there's so much other stuff I wanted to ask you about. While we're talking about people owning crazy things, could we just really quickly circle back?
Whoa, wait a second. I think
What?
I know where you're going here.
Well, I want to circle back on your Top Shot collection.
Yeah.
Is what I want to ask you about. Because you have an extensive Top Shot collection. Obviously, you're one of the OGs, as everybody talks about, and you have a lot that you're holding, and I think a lot that you've locked. You own, I got to be very specific, you own 34 of the 59 Derrick Rose from the top legendaries. Can I ask you why you own that many?
Pretty funny, isn't it?
Are you obsessed? You have an obsession with Derrick Rose? Like,
I did not know who he was.
Now you do.
Ish, yeah. I was told he's really big in China.
Oh my god,
that was about it. Well, what happened there is I was quite a big collector in Cryptokitties and sort of gamified an aspect of their fancy chasing. I had an account called Low Number Fancies. So in Cryptokitties, their content was they would release sort of a recipe to get this new fancy. And if you bred a cat in that time period to have the right traits, it would become a fancy cat. And a fancy just means it looks different. So normal Cryptokitties would have all the different layers, and whatever you bred, it would match that DNA, and the layers would just match the on-chain data. Whereas with fancy cats, if you hit a fancy, it would become it's not a one of one, but the way to view it would be completely different, a one of one. For instance, they've just done a few now where the cats are all playing football for the World Cup. So I was always trying to collect the early ones and made almost a game of golf. So if you had the first one for that fancy, you'd get a score of 1. If you got the second one, you'd get a score of 2, etc. And the goal was to have all of the fancies with the lowest score you possibly could. So I had this vast collection there, and just before the Top Shot from the top drop, I sold quite a lot of it along with my remaining CryptoPunks and went all in from the top packs, which sounds insane to do right now. But I promise you I did better than if I held. Yeah, again, sure. It sounds insane.
No, I like that was the most roundabout way to explain that. And then also, I like you slipped in. I sold all my CryptoPunks to get these from the top packs.
Yeah, bad times.
How many punks? How many punks are we talking?
I don't remember. I've owned over 100. At some point, but I was trading them, and I never had 100 all in one time. It was probably 6, 7, or 8, if I had to guess. It's on chain. Someone can go look.
We could go take a look.
Got nothing better to do. But I put all of that money in from the top packs. I bought a lot of the legendary packs. Mm-hmm. This was pre-pump. Ethereum must have been, if I had to guess, no, it was 1-to-1. A pack was effectively an Ethereum, so ETH must have been $249 or whatever the packs were sold for. And I think I bought 150 maybe, and I just happened to have loads of Derrick Rose, and I didn't sell them because no one wanted them. They would always come to me for my LeBrons. The LeDunk was in that that set. So I had 10 LeDunks.
Which is you mean that's the one where he does like the Kobe dunk.
The Kobe tribute,
The Kobe tribute, right, yeah, okay.
And I sold my last one like the day before the Gigapump.
Right.
So I think I sold my last one.
Which day is the Gigapump? Like February 20th or whatever it is?
I don't know. I just know that it went wild after I got rid of my last one. I think my last one I sold for $10,000, and all the rest I scaled up. And you could, people have been hating on prices going down for Top Shot for almost 2 years at this point, and you could still get, far more than 10 grand now for that moment. And I sold 10 of them for probably a combined 50 grand, if I had to guess.
How do you make your decisions? Like, how do you decide? Because like even what you're describing now, even that period of like 6 or 7 months there, of you sold all your kitties and your punks to go all in these packs, and then when the pump happened at Top Shot, you sold a bunch of that. You know what I mean? Like you're like, even what you just described is more moves than I've made in like a year. How do you govern your decisions in NFTs?
I just look at what I believe to be true, I guess. And I believed that Top Shot was going to pump more than punks. It wasn't just punks to Top Shot 1-to-1, because the punks, the Cryptokitties were getting sold for quite a lot, and the punks sort of made the deal happen. I sold them for much more than they were worth because they allowed another deal that was probably overvaluing the cats to happen. Cats have gone down, punks obviously went up, but I always just look at everything that I have and sort of evaluate from there. So individually, things may look like they make no sense, but if I already have a certain level of risk elsewhere with a different NFT collection, so I didn't sell all of my good Cryptokitties. I should have, because looking back, getting rid of them would have been great. But I kept some so that I could I could be ready for the upside if it arrived. And I wasn't done with punks. I just knew they were needed to get the deal done. I don't know how to explain it. I just take a look at my whole portfolio, my levels of risk, and how I feel these collections are going to move, and go from there.
That's a lot of words to just describe that you just make degen moves when you feel like
I am a FOMO dragon.
What's your biggest FOMO? What's your biggest FOMO move? Like, to start from after that day of Top Shot, like in this crazy like bull run, like did you end up buying tons of like the worst project ever?
Oh, yes, but hundreds of times.
Tell me about it. Is there something where it's like you went into like instead of buying cool cats, you bought some other like Lucky Maneki cats or something like that?
I mean, I've done it for loads of things. The one I joke about the most is probably Metabots, a collection that turned out to be stolen art. I think I have over multiple accounts 800. I put more ETH into that than ever traded on it, I'm sure.
I like that. It's good. I think that's also what people want to hear. People want to hear that you were early to Top Shot and that, you made loads of money on whatever, Derrick Rose or whatever it is, or LeBron's and stuff. But at the same time, people also
made no money on Derrick Rose.
Sorry, not Derrick Rose, now LeBron's, whatever, a bunch of other stuff. But that at the same time, you also were very wrong about other stuff. I've got a few questions here, actually, Carlini, from the First Mint Discord, because we have a community, and cool. There's a thread in there. We have a lot of threads for different projects, and there's a Penelope's Country Club thread in there with a lot of really passionate community members, talking about your project. So from John D, he wanted to know. He said that Carlini's a pretty big flow bull in the past, and he locked all your Top Shot without hesitation. He wants to know a little bit more about that. Are you still super bullish on both? Or did you just do so well early on that you're staying loyal, and or what happens from here on doesn't even matter?
Well, Top Shot wise, I guess it was, Derrick Rose exists because it was play money. So I had quite a lot of the Derrick Rose, but then I also had quite a lot of Dapper Balance. Put two and two together, why not? It's funny. because it was just play money. Like I spent over 10 grand on a Derrick Rose multiple times. You know, I spent 30 grand on Tyler Herro rookie jersey match, whatever the official name is for that. I do think that Top Shot will do, from this position, should do okay. You know, they're really actually doing things. Like if I had to pick a project that I thought would still be around in 10 years, Top Shot would be one of those, purely because the backing that they have, the funds that they've raised, and there is built-in utility, even though, you know, the people have fudded lots of different things of late. To be honest, I haven't sold purely because I'm lazy. I locked all my Derrick Rose because obviously they're not for sale. But I do want to sell certain moments that I've paid lots for, purely because it will be good to tax loss harvest again. So I won't be selling them because I want to get rid of them. It's just I've probably got 300 grand of tax loss harvest in certain moments. Like I just said, one that's got 30 in it that would just really help me not pay loads of taxes for moments that I spent a lot of dapper bucks at the top just because it was kind of fun at the time, and you never really know when the train was ending, but I'd done well enough to just be like, we'll just buy this and this and this, why not? And now it has a little bit of utility to me, tax loss harvesting. So, you know, if anyone sees any moments that I've bought Pico top, and you want to put a good offer in, you know, I've accepted offers a few times. I just get so bored.
There you go, guys. That's it. Carlini's Top Shot account, Carlini8. Okay, so go check it out. Make some offers on what you like. If you see anything there you like, go give them a little offer. I also want to ask you. Actually, we had another question from Dr. Olympia. He says, where do you see the space going as far as security? And if you were to start a project today, how different would it be from what is being done with PERS? And that's probably a good way to segue into getting you to give us a little breakdown of what Penelope's Country Club is for people who don't know what it is.
What do they mean by security?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
You're just hoping
I'm just looking at that. I didn't get a chance to follow up. How about, okay, let's do this. Tell us, like, give us the elevator pitch for Penelope's Country Club and kind of where you guys are at with the project, and then tell us if you would do anything differently today if you were starting the project.
The sort of very short pitch that tries to get it all into one would be an NFT focus brand exploring NFTs and trying to do it right. And what I mean by that is I really want NFTs to be useful, and you often don't see that. Often there is no true utility, and in this space it's always, in the future it's going to do this. And that is, you know, that's no different for me. It takes time to build stuff. But when we talk about the future, it's much sooner. So one of the first things we did was we promised 8 airdrops to the people who held Penelope's, 1 a month for 8 months. Now, logistically, that was a nightmare, and I'd get rid of it because there was just so much pressure to get those out every month that it slowed down other buildings, part of the sort of project. So that is one thing I'd change. We were also... It almost sounds like an interview. What's my biggest weakness? Oh, we're too perfect. We were too generous. So we gave lots back from the original mint. So we minted 800 Ethereum, and we did things like we spent 40 Ethereum on, I guess, advertising. If you used a Penelope's profile picture on Twitter or Discord, you got a split of that 40 Ethereum over, I think it was a 2-week period, like straight after our mint. We had a 200 Ethereum community wallet where people could decide where it would be spent. And from there, a kitty vault was born, which is a collection of NFTs that we all jointly own, which I think in the end was about 400 Ethereum. So we just kept giving the Ethereum back instead of keeping it to sort of, you know, hire more people or grow or things like that. So I love the Kitty Vault personally, but I feel like it doesn't drive people to the project as much as it should. But one of the things that I loved about it is it gave the airdrops utility, because each airdrop that we did owns a portion of that Kitty Vault. So you were rewarded for holding your per for the 8 months, because you then gained an extra piece of that Kitty Vault every month that the airdrop came. The airdrops were also claimable. So if you had the hoodie one, you could claim a real hoodie. If you have a model one, we would send out a 3D printed, hand-painted model of your per in sort of one of 3 body choices that you picked. We're sending out a framed record, and all of this is kind of free. If you held from the start, you can claim these physicals. We're not selling them to people; we are giving them away. I just like the new meme of "fuck around, find out." We have done lots of things with NFTs, and we've released a yarn token which took many months to sort out, and I think we've done it pretty well. There's current utility in that you can mint an NFT once you've built up enough, a bit like Cyberkongs with their babies. But we're also going down a land route with a dynamic NFT where you can level up your land. A bit like the sort of mobile games where they use time, after a certain amount of hours, your thing levels up. Whereas in our ecosystem, it's our yarn token that your NFTs yield. You spend that to level up, and it's like your choice to do that. And really, we're just going for, you kind of have to start as a brand, because everything is a brand. And you can see that with our subdomain routes, where I really think subdomains are going to be huge. Like, it's a key pillar of pairs. The yarn, our token, is a key pillar of pairs. The land is a key pillar of pairs. And the main NFTs are a key pillar of pairs. And everything sort of goes around that, and we build on it and on it. I guess one of the main selling points is going to be my passion. Pairs doesn't pay me anything. I don't have a salary. I haven't taken money out. I've actually put money in since the mint, not taking it out.
Interesting.
And I just want to ensure it wins rather than ensure I make money. Because if I was ensuring I was making money, I'm doing quite badly.
Wait, I don't understand. Why haven't you paid yourself?
Topshop paid me. Why do I need
That's so funny. That's such an interesting. Thank you for giving us the full breakdown there. That's such an interesting thing, though, right at the end there about. I wonder how many people are like that, of made a bundle early in the boom and thus have been able to build in a more holistic way, right? You don't need to be pulling money out of your own project for it to survive, right? And I feel like that's a distinct advantage, but also I wonder, how many other people are in a slightly, similar position.
Well, I'd probably have been in a better position if during the VC days I was offered. They valued this yarn token that we created at 25 million as a market cap, and we were to meet that we would have to sell something like 50% of it to VCs. With a 3-month, 6-month, and 12-month cliff. So after 12 months, it would all be unlocked. But Pairs would have got $12.5 million if we'd done that. Yeah. And I was like, no, that completely kills the token. It kills the concept. There's no way we can create demand for that much token. It's just insane.
Good on you.
So the project would have died. By now, in fact.
Yeah, of course.
But I would have $12.5 million. And
to build a new project. You could have used it to build something else.
I could have built something else, an airdrop to all the pairs, and just call
exactly.
It
You could have taken half the money, kept it for yourself, used the other to just airdrop ETH to everybody who holds. And
Just
then,
airdrop the ETH. Sorry,
I don't
bye.
know. Yeah, well, I mean, hey, that's not a bad. Listen. You know, if 99% of projects are going to go to zero, now we're seeing it, and obviously Per sounds like it's in a good place. What I'm saying is that other projects that started in the bull, it's like, what's that exit strategy, right? Because it's not like some projects are really struggling, ones that were really popular, and it's like the founders don't necessarily want to do it anymore, and I guess they could hand it over to the community, but. I wouldn't be surprised if you start to see more of that of like, hey, we're going to turn over all the assets to the community and just give you guys everything we can and then peace out, right? Like that's the
I've
best thing
seen
you can do.
Cool Cats founders. I think they're the biggest community I've seen where the founders
Are gone.
at least some of them have left recently.
Yeah,
Like last
exactly.
few weeks.
Carlini, I've kept you for a lot longer than I had intended. So maybe I'll ask you one final question, and then we can wrap out. Is at this point in time, there have been better days in NFTs. What do you see as kind of the greatest opportunities in the space right now, or the best opportunities for both collectors or builders, or the builders in quotation marks as you put them as well? Just generally right now, like going into the new year, or going into however long this bear market lasts, what do you think are the things to watch, or the opportunities for people out there?
I joked about them earlier, but building your own personal brand is an easy, cheap thing that people can be doing right now. It takes your time and effort, and if you want to do it better, obviously it can cost money and socials and graphics and all of this sort of stuff, but it's not needed. It can be something that people do for free to air quotes build. If you're looking to launch a project, you're actually a builder and you're going to get together a team and an artist and dev and all of this sort of stuff. Right now, I'd suggest finding a community. Hopefully you're already in a community that's big enough to sort of do a Jenkins. You take the power of the community that you're already in and build on top of that. It's very hard right now unless you have a special kind of USP. Like I said with Art Gobblers and Cock Punch, there was someone that was almost leveraging years of work. If you don't have that, I think building on top of another project and harnessing their current community is probably a good idea. You'd have to do it right. You'd have to be in the community. You'd have to know people. So maybe while you're building your own brand, start with that. Maybe even start your brand as, Jenkins the Valet is one of the apes. You can come up with your idea for this community and join as that person, whatever.
Your PFP or whatever it is that you have kind of the commercial rights to.
Yeah, and try and build from within. Collectors, I'd just say, what you like. If you like money and you like collecting money, it's hard times right now. There is no sort of magic formula. You've just got to keep your eye on the ball for the right opportunities, and I think get out quick. Long holds don't feel too good for sort of the high end stuff. If something costs a lot, I think it's going to be quite tricky to stay up there, and just try and suppress the fear, because we're in quite a fearful time. I want to sell quite a lot of stuff. I've just pitched trying to get rid of my Top Shot high spend moments on this pod. I just want a tax loss harvest, man. But if I'm thinking of selling something that I literally haven't for 2 years, that I just left there, then I'm guessing other people who are new might be feeling pretty fearful right now.
Yeah.
And that in the past, that was the best time to buy, and it always felt hard. Like buying punks at $100 was hard because they weren't valuable for a reason until they were valuable.
So what is there out there that's $100 like punks was back then? That's the big question. That's the golden question: is what random asset now exists that you can buy at that low?
Well, if I just quickly do some research, go to the Penelope's Country Club 4.
Oh, I love that.
Oh, no,
All right.
$117. Sorry, everyone.
Yeah, it's pretty close. Carlini, also, Trump has gone up to 0.42 now in the time we've been talking. Yeah, it's on absolute fire.
He's going to be getting royalties as people trade as well, which is just wild to think a ex-president is making money from us degens trading.
God, that's just amazing. There's a pretty big wall of like 200 or so listings around 0.45, but who knows? Who knows what can happen? You got like 4 or 5 sales per minute right now, so it could change. It could change pretty quick.
It could be 0 or 10 ETH by the time people hear this. Pretty much.
That's honestly, those are the only two possibilities at this point. I'd say
fun.
it's like it's one or the other. Carlini, my friend, so good to chat with you again, and thanks for making time for us.